First, I would like to introduce a close personal friend of Richard, one of his confidants, his advisors, and business partner. You have read about him in Richard's book, know him as the jeweler to the stars, and only Richard and he could be jewelers to the Pope. Please welcome Buzzy Shukar.
Maybe even today, maybe your children and grandchildren ask you to 6'4", 225-pound men who are athletic when they're younger, cry when they get older. I'll tell you the answer is yes. So please bear with me if you will. I didn't call Richard Dickie or Richard. I called him Angela. He didn't call me Harry. He didn't call me Buzzy. He called me Teddy. Where did these come from? Very easily, they were our middle names. I never thought until very recently, why did we do this? Why did we each have a unique name for each other? And looking back, I think ours was a very unique friendship. I've been blessed with many good friends over the years. No one was as unique, as different, and as pleasant as Richard. He was an ideal man, you learned from his book. He was fun-loving. He was humorous. Yes, he was smart. A great sense of humor. Loyal. Very positive about the world in general and people in general. Angela was always ready to start something new. Normally, these kind of services are sad and somber. However, if Richard, and I'm taking a liberty here, would have written the script for today, it wouldn't be sad and somber. It would be funny and humorous. So I'm going to take advantage, if you don't mind, of my feeling. Those of you who read the book, these are a few things from Richard's life, from Angela's life, read his book, realized one of the funniest things was Mother Klein's kosher dog food. This was a kosher dog food that was supposed to be sold in the New York market, and it won national first prize awards from many advertising places. The interesting thing was that the product was never made, and a sale was never made. There never was again this dog food. That you may have read in the book, but I'll tell you what you didn't read in the book. Richard came to St. Louis. He got a call, I believe it was from the old days Cable XTV, the CBS station. They said, "Are you the Richard Klein that made Mother Klein's kosher dog food?" He says, "Absolutely." Apparently this reporter was a little questioning. He says, "Was it really, really kosher?" And he says, "My friend, we had one set of books, but we had two sets of dishes." So he assured me it was kosher. Well, he wanted to come out and interview Richard, and Richard was a little skeptical, this guy. This is in the days when cans of Spam and food had paper labels. So before he gets there, Richard goes over to the grocery store, buys a couple of cans of Spam, removes those paper labels, and puts on Mother Klein's kosher dog food labels, and puts them up on the shelf above his desk. The reporter comes in, and he's still kind of pressing the issue, is this really legitimate, or is this a joke? And Richard, very timely, said, "Well, wait a minute." Reaches up behind his desk, takes down his can of so-called Mother Klein's kosher dog food, takes a can opener and opens it, takes a spoon. "Oh," he says, "this is brisket of beef. It's delicious. Would you like some?" He goes, No. He says, "I take your word." He says, "I think I've got enough." Jenny and my wife Barbara and Richard and I spent many nice dinners together, holidays and otherwise. Early in our meeting, the four of us were having dinner one night here in St. Louis, and I had a bad day at the office, and Richard was upset that I wasn't my jovial self. So we went to a restaurant, and as I recall, no longer in business, but had very large menus. And we were taking our time reading the menus, and Jenny's got her menu up, and all of a sudden we got ready to order. Richard was upset that I wasn't my jovial self, as he called me. We put the menus down. Here's Richard, who at the time had a red beard, He gets Jenny's drop earrings and puts them on, gets her bright red lipstick and puts it on his face, and pretends like this is his normal self. Women and men, but mostly women, are coming in with their children, making one look, and pulling the kids away, and Richard's just going on just like this is his everyday life. Pretty soon the tables immediately around us were vacated. By the time we finished dinner, this was kind of a room-type restaurant, we were the only 4 people left in this particular restaurant. That was a Richard. As was said earlier, Richard and I, Angelo and I, had the honor of doing Pope John Paul II's medals when he visited St. Louis. And one day Richard and I are down at the Archdiocese, and one of the priests came up and says, "Richard, I understand you're going to do the papal visit medals." He says, "Yes, we're going to call ourselves the Pontiffs Donifs." He did that. And speaking of that, he one time was asked by a member of the clergy, is he going, and does he go to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and so forth and so on. And Richard relayed the story. He says, the Rockefeller Center in New York is a private street, but it's open to the public. But in order to keep it private, they must lock it up and close it one day a year so they don't lose by eminent domain. So Richard says he makes sure he goes to temple at least once a year so the church can't claim him by eminent domain. Rich and I must have had 1,000 lunches. He is really quick-witted. When I retired and came back from New York, we had lunch one day. I said, "Oh, Richard, I'm going to need some kind of little program to go about the diamond business. So you'll have to go to work on it. We'll meet next week." 4 o'clock that afternoon, he calls me. He says, "I got your first 2 things ready." "What are they, Richard?" "The first one will be the Iceman Cometh, and the second one will be there's a diamond mine, M-I-N-D, in Clayton," which we did. Later on, visiting a granddaughter down in New Orleans at Tulane, I saw it was the first of these custard shops where you go around and fill your own little bowl, and they weigh it at the end and you pay for it. And it was very new, and I thought it would be a good idea for Richard and I to do. And I called him, and of course, first I gave him a little bit of trouble that he's supposed to be the idea man, but I've come up with this idea, and he's not doing his share. 2 hours later, he calls me, "I've done my share." "What is it, Angelo?" "I got our name." "What is it?" "Custard's Last Stand." I would be remiss if I didn't tell you there's a serious side. You will hear from Nancy, Richard's sister. His brother Louis is ill and cannot attend. I will tell you a story that you may have read in the book, that Richard, as a young camper, and Nancy, as you will see, is quite attractive, and when I've seen her pictures as a teenager, she was quite a knockout. So Richard would sell a date with his sister for a few dollars, which he did. It turns out the purchaser was a gentleman by the name of John Mattis. John was here, and her husband to this day, 60 years ago. Paul, Percy, Kathy, Lisa. He loved you kids. It started with the peanut butter, I know, but he really, truly loved you. And you kids learned to love and respect Richard for just the person he was. Richard never changed who he was or what he was. He felt that. He felt your love. He felt your admiration. And it meant an awful lot to him. And he loved you kids. He and I had many private conversations together. He loved you as if he were your own biological father. Whenever he would speak of you all, of what you did or what you were thinking of, or anything you said, it was always only in the most positive terms. Jenny, there can't be enough said about you. I've had many private observations of you and Richard together while he was sick and while he was well. I will tell you this from our many private conversations. No man ever loved a wife like he loved you. He spoke of you. It's the only time I ever saw Richard's eyes widen, his face light up. When he spoke of you, the only time it was more than when he said, "I have a new idea," when Jenny would come up. It was not only what you did for him, it's appreciated what you did with him. He loved you, respected you, appreciated what you did with him and what you've done for mankind in general. Richard in his book talks as a bachelor. He had a few bachelor bad habits. And the operative word there is bachelor, a few. And Jenny, he has told me many times, it wasn't for you, he never would have gotten out of those situations. My wife Barbara and I send Richard a birthday card every year. And Richard liked it so much that he would mail it back to us after his birthday, so we could mail it back to him the following year. No kidding. Let me read it to you, because Barbara picked this, and if you want to say what describes Richard Angelo Klein, listen to this. Happy birthday to you, and the child in you who laughs and plays and jumps into bed when no one else is around. Happy birthday to the dreamer in you, who wishes on pennies and candles and still knows the words to starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Happy birthday to the believer in you, who never gives up, who radiates hope, and who makes everyone else believe in the magic of wishing and dreaming. Champion of wishes and dreams, we say,